All right, well, let's hear from Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff. He was on John Wilner and John Canzano's podcast this week talking about a lot of different things. I want to start with this UCLA thing because this is what really bothers me the most. I think this is an unnecessary shot at UCLA simply to try and stave off the collapse of the Pac-12.
Back to the envelope calculations on the negative impact on UCLA expenses, travel expenses, and just expenses for coaches' salaries and other things, just to get to the average Big Ten athletic budget. And, we think that the incremental money they're going to receive from the Big Ten media rights deal will be more than 100% offset by additional expenses. So you end up taking that money that you earn and it goes to airline and charter companies and coaches and administrators. It doesn't go to supporting the student athletes.
Well, and listen, that's George Kliavkoff on John Wilner and John Canzano's podcast this week. I don't know. The back of the envelope comment's ridiculous, first of all. You don't have the hard numbers. Second of all, you're not accounting for the fact that other Pac-12 teams are going to join the Big Ten. You're not accounting for the fact that this is why Oregon and Washington are so critical. This is why to the Big Ten success, because UCLA and USC need travel partners. And I think when you look at all of these things, this feels like a desperate ploy from Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff to survive, because George is very well aware that UCLA is dealing with the California, educational system, essentially, the UC system, who by some accounts has no ability to stop UCLA from going to the Big Ten. By other accounts has full ability to stop UCLA from going to the Big Ten. This is George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of the Pac-12, being desperate. He's trying to undermine UCLA's ability to move. He is trying to save the conference. But again, I guess the bigger question is, does UCLA staying in the Pac-12 save the conference? I don't know the answer to that. It feels like the Los Angeles TV market is significant, but what are you really going to have in UCLA if you torpedo their move to the Big Ten? I don't know the answer to that either, because I have to believe that UCLA is not going to be a happy participant in what at that point is going to be a rudderless Pac-11 conference. Mm-hmm. Because the other elephant in the room here is, if you save UCLA, let's say save UCLA, and they stay, are other teams going to want to join the Pac-12? And I certainly don't believe that that's the answer. But that takes me to the next comment from Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff, who told Canzano and Wilner that no teams are going to the Big 12 and that he does not see any teams going to the Big Ten.
I think if schools would have left for the Big Ten, they would have left for the Big Ten already. And also what I will tell you is I'm very focused on things that are in my control. Things that are not within my control, I find no value in spending time on.
Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff.
I just disagree. I mean, I just flat out blatantly disagree that with the statement that if a school was going to go to the Big Ten, that they would have gone to the Big Ten already. I just flat out disagree. And the reason I disagree is because things happen in time, right? Like George loves to say, and I would encourage you guys to go and find the whole interview. It's like 45 minutes. There's a lot of good stuff in there, a lot of educational pieces on the whole situation. But George had made a comment in there that because of the Big Ten's TV deal and the fact that they got these two teams and the Big Ten kind of went through and did what it was going to do, that he sort of inferred that means that teams like Oregon and Washington and, the rest of the bunch of them now wouldn't go to the Big Ten. And that's why I just flat out disagree. He claims in the interview that his job is to, like all the Pac-12 schools right now, or the Pac-10 schools, I guess, would accept a grant of rights opportunity if it was, quote, the right opportunity. Well, here's the problem with that. Finding the right opportunity in the Pac-10, as it would be, is going to be increasingly difficult because all the TV providers spent all their bread on the Big Ten. That's what he doesn't want to admit. So that's why I'm a little surprised about how he's going about it, because it's sort of like he's living in, I mean, I don't want to make the guy sound crazy, right? Because obviously he's not crazy.
Right,
He's a
right.
super smart guy, great at what he does. But to me, it's like you're living in a different universe sometimes with some of these comments. I'm like, dude, like, where do you think that these TV partners are? Do you think they just have like endless money to give your conference 50 a school and give the Big Ten 50 a school?
And
like,
I also think that's why this belief that, oh yeah, we can go to Amazon and they can be our tier 1 provider is ridiculous. Let's get to brass tacks here. He straight up said he guarantees no Pac-12 schools are going to the Big 12. And you heard what he said about the Big 10 and that no teams are going to the Big 10. I just don't know how you can sit there and say that with a straight face. It is very clear that many, if not most of your programs in the Pac-12 are looking at exit opportunities.
This is a code 10 abort.
So how can you sit there and say, and granted, John Wilner and John Canzano are Pac-12 homers. It is in their best interest if the Pac-12 stays together. I totally understand that, which is why they did not question him or do follow-ups. I totally get it. But when you look at the current marketplace, there's no way that you can guarantee no teams are leaving for the Big 10 or the Pac or for the Big 12. There's just no way. The Big 12 is in a far better position than the Pac-12 is. There's almost no argument to that. That you look at grant of rights, what school in their right mind in the Pac-12 is signing a $30 million grant of rights? And are you telling me that Amazon's going to cough up $500 million just to be the tier 1 provider for the Pac-12? And here's the other problem. You're not good enough to draw subscription-based viewership right now.
Yes.
Without USC and UCLA, are you really telling me that Oregon State fans, Washington State fans in mass, Utah fans in mass are going to subscribe to Amazon Prime just to see their games? Because they're not doing that with DirecTV.
No.
Right? They're not doing that with Dish Network. We've already seen that Pac-12 football fans didn't en masse leave DirecTV to go to Dish Network or any other provider for the Pac-12 network. We've already seen that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the part that is so trippy to me is that how are you, George Kliavkoff, guaranteeing that no schools are leaving for the Big 10 or the Big 12 when you know that Oregon wants out and is actively working to leave the conference? And this statement, and I'll play it again because I think it is remarkable, this statement about, this statement about the health and the grant of rights, and it's remarkable to me that he sits here and talks about things in his control.
I think if schools would have left for the Big Ten, they would have left for the Big Ten already. And also what I will tell you is I'm very focused on things that are in my control. Things that are not within my control, I find no value in spending time on.
What is in your control about a school leaving the conference? Because again, I just ask you, if UCLA stays in the conference, are they going to make more money than they're spending? Because they're already losing money by most accounts.
Yeah.
UCLA is already losing money. You look at the attendance issues at the Rose Bowl, and it is not hard to figure out they're not doing very much business in Pasadena, right? So now are you telling me that by having Ohio State come in, Penn State come into the Rose Bowl, are you telling me that Michigan coming to the Rose Bowl doesn't bring more fans to the Rose Bowl?
Yeah.
It must, it will, it absolutely will. Even if they are visiting fans, no fans are worse than visiting fans. And right now, UCLA has no fans in the Rose Bowl. Are you really telling me that UCLA, even flying in the Pac-12 current footprint, is going to make more money than they would in the Big Ten? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So you're talking about things you can control. What is it about UCLA that you think you can control? You can be a snake in the grass and you can try to undermine them leaving, but saving UCLA, it doesn't fix your problem, George. And that's why this looks so petty. That's why this looks so stupid. He also told Wilner and Canzano on their podcast, well, I haven't done any media because we're heads down working hard. No, you haven't done any media because you're terrible at doing media.
Casual.
When you talk, you say really dumb things, George. That's the problem here. And when you go to homers like Wilner and Canzano, with all due respect, because I actually think they're pretty good at what they do.
Yeah.
You know you're in a safe space. So you can get away with this crap where you say back of the envelope. I don't want back of the envelope. I want actual forensic accounting. If you're going to tell me that getting $100 to $150 million is going to lose UCLA money, I need real foundational evidence of that. Not you sharpening a pencil and flipping over your credit card statement and doing some quick math.
And the best you could do reason-wise is they're going to lose money because there's more money going to airline companies. That's the best you could do.
It's crazy.
I would expect, and again, I'm not trying to disrespect the guy, but I just guess I would expect George Kliavkoff, the commissioner of a P5 conference, to have a better path of logic than, UCLA is going to lose money going to the Big Ten because they got to pay more to the airline companies because they're flying a little more. Like, your logic basically is just saying that, hey, because they have to travel more, that they're going to lose money. As opposed to what, George? As opposed to all the money they're not making now in your conference?
Yeah.
Like, that's why I agree with you when you say, hey, he's not doing a lot of media, because when he does do media, it doesn't work out great for him. And that to me is as plain as you could say it, because I think it's true. Like, if you're going to come out and talk about your situation and the college football expansion as far as conferences are concerned, and how your conference is negatively impacted by the dog-eat-dog world that is college football. Well, when you do that and you come out and you talk about it, you have to make sure that the things that you say are on point, or else this happens.
Yeah, it is shocking to me.
And by the way, then I look at schools like Utah, and I'm like, hey, by the way, your commissioner just said that he guarantees nobody's going to the Big 12. So what's it going to be? Are you just going to be here and make like $30 million a year? And really, we should stop saying Utah is going to make $30 to $40 million a year on this new grant to rights situation, which is what most people think the number is going to be in the Pac-10.
And I agree with M. Alvarez, who says, I think George was asleep when he was doing this interview because he's straight up dreaming with this statement.
That's what I mean.
I totally agree, 100%. Kurt Myers, good morning to you. Neville93, what's up? Kurt says, Pac-12 commissioner tells UCLA they will make more money to stay in the Pac-12. Yes, that's crazy.
But how can you say that? And how would any school, UCLA or otherwise, again, my mind goes to Utah because we're sitting here in Salt Lake City, how can Utah believe that the commissioner in this conference is going to provide them more revenue on the next grant of rights deal when they've never done that before? And I know, hey, new commissioner, he inherited some old contracts and old situations that, frankly, were absolutely embarrassing. I can get down with that. I totally understand that. We're seeing that with the Jazz right now with their distribution situation, as we talked about. But what I can't understand is how your commissioner is going to come out and say, I guarantee, you have my word, basically, that no one's going to leave the conference for the Big 10 or the Big 12. And then I get to sit here and look at Utah, and I get to say, okay, Utah is on a really good path right now. Their program is clearly rising in national relevance. And I wonder, what would you be if you were in the Big 10 or the Big 12? It's a legit question.
This is just such a bad look. I think this is akin to attacking the Big 12 at Pac-12 Media Day.
It builds off of it. You did what you did, and now you're doing this.
It's all of the stupid things that have always gone on in the Pac-12. And it is this manipulation of the media that's become so pervasive across sports. Like this is no different than the Jazz waiting weeks to do a press conference, and their one-on-one interview is not with Tony Jones, it's with their broadcaster who is going to shine the team. Like, I mean,
Donnie, please.
There's no difference here.
Yeah.
This is, if I'm George Kliavkoff, if I want to get my message out, which that's clearly what this is, Canzano and Wilner are two very safe guys for the Pac-12. So look, I think that this is just a misstep. That you cannot continue to wage war when you have no weapons.
Well, in my concern,
I don't understand it.
My concern is, you're totally right, it is a misstep, but I don't think George views it as a misstep very clearly. Like, I don't think that that George, in his heart of hearts, feels like, yeah, man, wow, I said that I guarantee that no teams are going to leave our conference for another conference. And that's going to be a really embarrassing thing when they do leave our conference.
Yep. Mark Hales says, with all due respect.
Yeah, dude.
Kenai Johnson
come on.
says, schools should leave just because of the statement, with all due respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Tanner Plummer says, yes, the Pac-12 has looked better so far this year, but it still doesn't change the fact that the conference is on the brink of extinction. Yeah, on-field has nothing to do with whether they survive or not.
That's the sad part about
Nothing.
it. Like, Washington actually looked good. Utah has looked good. Obviously, SC, as we've talked about, has one of the best, if not the best, offense in the country. Like, you actually have good football this year. UCLA obviously is not better, but it's just so funny how this all works. The team that's not good and struggles with attendance and shares a stadium with SC, frankly, is just not good, and they're not making money, and yet you have your commissioner coming out, and of all the things that he could say about UCLA is saying they're going to lose more money in the Big Ten, which to me is just completely wrong.
It's crazy. Football 50 in 60 seconds. Who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now? I think that's a big question. The way that I would wrap this conversation up is every day just seems to be a bad day for the Pac-12. No matter what happens, there is always it just feels like there's a dark cloud over this conference, and your commissioner guaranteeing that no teams are leaving for the Big 12 or the Big 10. The balls on this guy are amazing.
Incredible.
That, or he just knows something that none of us know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he's got pictures of Phil Knight that we're unaware of, but I just think it's a remarkable statement to make if you are George Kliavkoff. Football 50, 10 of the hour. Every hour we talk about the biggest stories in football. Coming up in 10 minutes, we are going to talk about Dallin Holker quitting the BYU football team and announcing his intention to join the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a mistake. And I'll tell you why coming up in 10 minutes. We'll talk BYU football. Don't forget, Harris LaChance joins us coming up at 8:30 this morning as well. All right, let's talk about quarterbacks in the NFL to kick off Football 50, presented by Papa Murphy's Pizza. Papa Murphy's Pizza. Order through their app. It is a great app. It's easy to use. You can schedule your pickup. Order at 10, pick up at 5. We do it every Friday, and it
Bada
works
boom,
perfectly.
bada bing.
Easy peasy, baby.
Yeah.
All right, here's a question for you on Football at 50. Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins,
Right.
currently leads the NFL in passing.
Uh-huh.
No, I said Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins currently leads the NFL in passing.
Are you and George hanging out more, or what's going on here?
I'm on the drink, apparently. But
Apparently.
yes, that is actually true that Tua Tagovailoa leads the NFL in passing.
Yeah.
Who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now?
Well, I mean, I think you still got to go with Tom Brady. And I think the reason you got to go with Tom Brady is because the guy can take veteran day off after veteran day off, and he still comes out and is super effective and is able to have a dogfight with the Saints and pull away in the fourth quarter. And that's why I say I think you just have to go with Tom Brady. I think close second still is Aaron Rodgers. The fact is he hasn't won much, and that's my biggest problem with Aaron Rodgers. You're not a true outright winner, and that's my biggest thing with him is you haven't won, and Tom has, and that's why I give the edge to Tom Brady.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I think who are even the contenders? Obviously,
I think you got to talk about Josh Allen being one of the best quarterbacks.
That would be my guy. I think the best quarterback going in the NFL right now. I think you got to give it to Josh Allen, just the way that he's playing, the domination that's been the Buffalo Bills, and he is just the absolute heartbeat of that team.
Yeah, they're locked in, and I think that when you can beat teams like the Chiefs regularly, that says all you need to say. And I think that Chiefs-Bills matchup was a preview of the AFC Championship game, and I think that, I'm waiting for Josh Allen to get to the Super Bowl. That's honestly what I'm waiting for. I wish that Joe Burrow has had a better start this year, but he hasn't. And so that's why I say I think Josh Allen right here today is probably playing the best football in the league.
And the crazy thing is, if you look at the numbers on the guys leading the NFL, Tua's number one, Carson Wentz is number two.
Mm-hmm.
Carson Wentz is completing 65.5% of his passes, 7 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions, which is a pretty good performance.
Yeah.
By the way, so I would go there. Now, if you're a Jets fan, if you're a BYU fan, if you're a Zach Wilson fan, you hate to see it. Joe Flacco is currently 3rd in the NFL in passing.
Uh-oh.
None of those 3 are even close to the best quarterback in the NFL. I think when you look at the numbers and you look at the real contenders for this, it comes down to Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I think it's Josh Allen. I think a close second. You got to put Patrick Mahomes there.
Well, I think there's this group of guys, right? Like
Yeah.
you have there's this group of guys that are the best QBs in the league. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I think you got to put Matt Stafford in there because of what they did last year. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is in that mix, and then I think Tom Brady, and then after those guys, you have everybody else, and I think you everybody else is headlined by guys like Lamar Jackson. I think Russell Wilson could put himself in that conversation if he has a big year, but I think he's got some proving to do in Denver.
So Alex Chacon, or no, is it Justin Salas says, is the game plan to run this music for the whole time during football at 50?
Yes.
Yeah, why? Do you hate the music playing in the background?
What's the problem? What's the problem?
Gives it a little life. We're trying to spice the place up, I don't know. I like the music. I love NFL films.
Let us know. Do you not like the music?
Yeah. Alex Chacon says, bro, Mahomes and Allen are better than Brady and Rodgers. I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers is actually playing some of the best football of his career right now.
Yeah.
He's got as few weapons as I can ever remember the Packers having offensively.
Well, he's just going to take more ayahuasca,
Well, and I think he's doing the job. I think he's absolutely doing the job right now in Green Bay. I would give him a lot of credit. Scandura, what's up? He says, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert. Good-looking dude. And Lamar Jackson.
Lamar's the one I got the problem with in your list, bro. I think that Lamar's a hell of a quarterback, hell of an athlete, but I think that the rest of those guys are just a cut above. One cut above.
And I think Lamar's vastly improved. I do. I think his touch on the football, he took it personally, this contract situation.
As he should.
And maybe that's what Lamar needed. Maybe Lamar Jackson needed to feel like he was not wanted, not valued. Maybe you're just not good enough. Because he went to the lab very clearly, and he came out a better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he's a couple of those. But Scandura, you know what? I don't have any issue. I think Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes that's the list. Alex Chacon on Tua Tagovailoa says, I would too if I had Hill and Waddle. Jalen Waddle can play football a lot of bit.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting. I think they're two of the top 3 receivers in the NFL right now. I don't know. Can the Miami Dolphins keep playing at this level?
I think the problem is that so I believe that Tua has worked his ass off to get better. I really do believe that he's giving his absolute all to improve as an NFL quarterback. But what I need to see is Tua's ability to step up to the line, read the defense against an elite defense. Like I'm talking about the top 5 defenses in the league. Let's see if he can read a defense, change the play, and then execute on that play. If Tua can do that, then yes, the Miami Dolphins are for real. But I have some hesitations around that.
Now, Giggity shows up, and he says, good morning, fellas. Roll the NFL music all show long.
See, that's what I mean. The NFL music, and we're working on spicing the show up in a couple of areas. I feel like the NFL music really helps us.
Spicing the show up in a couple of areas.
We need to, spice it up a little bit. I'm working on it.
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah.
We're spicing it up in a couple of areas. Giggity, always good to see you, my friend. Justin Salas says, I'm going Mahomes over Allen just because I think he can do more with his feet.
And he's done more in the league.
Well, there you go. I was just going to say he's won. He's won, and he's played. I think this ability to throw sidearm, no-look passes, and I actually agree, Salas. I think the fact that he can do all of that on the run is significant. The other thing that worries me a little bit about Josh Allen is the hero ball mentality, the Superman run through brick walls. Eventually the brick wall wins.
He's a big dude, bro.
Well, he is a big dude, but eventually the brick wall wins.
It does make you wonder, because Ben Roethlisberger was very much like that early in his career, and it does make you wonder if that will cost him later in his career with mobility. Because Ben, as we know before he retired, was absolutely a statue back there.
Well, but you're never as hard as you think you are, and when you run it, oh, man. Did I really just say that?
Hold on.
Damn. Now you got to stop the music. Did I really just say that?
Woo!
Good Lord. Good. I need more sleep. Dang it. Wow.
Oh, that was an all-timer, bro.
My point is, you're never as tough as you think you are. There is always some dude.
What I just said.
There's always some dude that's tougher than you. And if you're Josh Allen, you're going to run into it eventually. Justin said that's what she said. Exactly right. Yeah, it's internal. All right. He said also, not a fan of the music for the whole time, but it's your show. You do what you want. I think it just gives you more energy. It gives you more pace.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk a lot. And I mean, I love the sound of my own voice, and I am one sexy human being. But you need a little change up occasionally. Football 50-10 of the hour, every hour, brought to you by our good friends at Papa Murphy's Pizza.
No one goes all in on made-from-scratch freshness like Papa Murphy's. We go all in on quality. All in on craft. And on the Triple Pep Pizza, we go all in on pepperoni. Because when you go all in, people notice. Go all in with a limited-time Triple Pep Pizza, topped with 3 types of pepperoni for just $11.99. Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.